Welcome in. It is day 263, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today we're going to be over a little card game that I just played yet again at our big all-day board game playthrough that I had this past weekend. And the idea of the game is very simple. This is one of those games that I feel like you could play with anybody. You can play with a big gamer, you can play with a recent gamer, you can play with an occasional gamer, you can play with a non-gamer. It's not a lot to learn. It's more about just how beautiful it is, and it's very simple rules. The game is called Subastral. Now, the concept of the game is that you're going to have this middle area of 6 different zones. You're going to have essentially like the moon and the sun, I believe. I know the sun's on one side, it might be the moon on the other, I don't recall. But the idea is that you're going to shuffle up these cards, and you're going to place them out. First, you're going to do simply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. Then you're going to flip the top 2, and you're going to look at what numbers on them. And so long as they're not the same number, you're going to add them to their zones. Normally, this is how you work. Those first 6 cards are the exception to the rule. It doesn't matter their number. You just put them down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you flip and you go, okay, a 2 goes to 2. A 5 goes to 5. We're done. Now, each player gets dealt 3 cards. And this is where the interesting part starts. What you're looking to do is you take from your hand and you're going to add a number to the spot on the board. And then you have to choose to go left or go right. You're going to go to one of the sides and you're going to grab one of the numbers and take all the cards there. If it's going to be going towards the sun, whatever you grab gets put in front of you into your tableau. If you're going towards the moon, it gets added to your hand. The difference between these two is your hand is how you're able to place, which is how you're able to draw cards. Your tableau is how you're scoring points. So when you grab from there and you put to your tableau, you're going to be putting them down and basically saying, okay, anything that is the same style. So if you've got grass and you've got 2 grass there, it's going to be grass here and right below it another grass. If you've got grass and you've got a desert, you'll go grass here, desert here. You can flip them. It's your choice at first. But as you build, you have to follow. So once you've placed grass in a spot, every time you get grass, you have to place below it. You're going to keep doing this back and forth until eventually you have all the way down to the scoring card. Now, whenever you've done your turn, the end of your turn is you take a card from the top of the deck, flip it, and add it to the board. So you're getting an additional card added. And if when you do that, the board does not have at least 2 different zones with 2 cards or more, then you have to keep flipping cards until you have 2 zones of multiple cards. Once you've done that, now the other player goes, you keep going back and forth till you hit the scorecard. When you hit the scorecard, what you'll do is you'll figure out first who just caused that to happen. The first player, the second player, the third player, whoever it is, you finish out the round, and then everybody gets one more turn. There'll be some cards below the scoring card to make sure you can get through the rest of the game. Now, once you've done that and you've finished everything, is where the scoring kicks in. The scoring's very simple. There are 2 ways to score. The first is, from left to right, you're going to see how many cards you have in a row per row. And it's unbroken, meaning if you've got, and you can have up to 8 cards, if you've got 8 cards in a row, you'll go into your booklet, you'll figure out for 8 cards in a row, what does that score? I don't know the exact scoring, but obviously it keeps increasing with the more cards you have, and it's not a simple like 3 points per card or something like that. It increases what the value per card is as you go. So you get that. But let's say the second row is 1, 2, 3, you don't have the 4th card, 5, 6, don't have the 7th card, 8. It doesn't matter about the 8 or the 5 or the 6. You only had 1, 2, and 3, and then there was a break. You were the one that chose the order. You were the one that chose the cards. So you didn't give yourself an ability to combine those. So that break is the end of the row. You score the 3, and then you jump to the next row. So that's one set of scoring. And you just keep going, and you score for every single card's row that you have from the first row. Meaning, if your first row has 4 or 5 cards going down, let's say you have 5 cards in the first row, you're going to score 5 rows. And now, after you've done that, you go to your columns. Now, the columns are, you score 2 of them. The way they work is, you're going to multiply the number of cards by the column that you're in. Meaning, let's say that you have 5 cards in column 1, 4 cards in column 3, 4 cards in column 4. And those are your 3 biggest ones. Well, the 5's an obvious one. So it's 5 times your column number, 1, you get 5 points. Now, you've got 4 in column 3 and column 4. The way it works in a tie is you have to go to the lower side. So you really got to push to get those later columns up. So now you've got 4 in column 3. It's 4 times 3, 12 points. Had it been 1 less there and you were scoring column 4, it would have been 4 times 4, 16 points. So you get your rows, you get your 2 columns, you add them up, you see who wins. Very simple game, not difficult to learn, not difficult to play. We flew through our first game. It was really easy. But why don't we jump in, let's talk our 7 categories and see where this game lands for us. When it comes to the art, I actually, for such a small box, I really appreciate the art. You know, sometimes when you're talking a box size, that shifts up a lot of opinion on what is acceptable as a cover for me. I think this would have been acceptable in general, but as it gets to a smaller box, this really attracts my eye more. It stands out. I don't feel like I see a lot of boxes with this style art. I feel like it's a very nice art. It's very simplistic. It's something that can definitely not scare away a non-gamer or an occasional gamer. I really like the art, not only here, but the cards are beautiful. It's all landscape art. Big thumbs up. Components. It's just cards. There's nothing else here. They're all good quality. I'm not worried about wearing. I'm not worried about tearing. They go into this box really nicely. Thumbs up. Price. This game is from Renegade. It's not it's not a popular game, but at the same time, Renegade finds its way into stores. Because of its sizing and everything, I'm not expecting to find this in like a Target or in a Barnes & Noble, but at least 2 out of 5 board game stores, and definitely online. And you're probably looking at this one $20. I think that it's acceptable for its price. I think you're getting a good game, and I think you're getting a game that you'll be able to play with more than just your game group. And that's what's important about this one. Thumbs up. Your difficulty. This game is not difficult, and that's not a bad thing. Sometimes I say difficulty can really hurt if it's too easy. I agree. This game is going to be great for kids, and it can be great for beginners because it's not too many rules to learn. But when you get into that experienced area, I feel like this game has still got a good back and forth, and it's clearly a asymmetric style game, and those games tend to not offend an experienced player as much. Maybe an expert's not going to want to jump to this. You know, as for me, will I add this to my collection? Probably not, because I've got other games that I feel like I will play that's an abstract way more. I'll stick to my Azules and play an abstract of that style before I'm going to add this and start playing this regularly. I play Azules all the time. So for me, I like the game. I wouldn't be against it being in my collection, but I think most experts would agree there's a lot of options for us, and while we won't be we won't be afraid to try this game, we're not going to jump at it, but I think experienced players will still really like it. That's 3 or 4 categories there. It's got to be a thumbs up. Replayability. The game isn't that long. We learned it and played it in about 20 minutes. 20 minutes isn't that bad. Now, we played 2-player. So what if you're playing this game 3-player, 4-player? You know, this game doesn't take that long. You've still got the stack roughly the same. I don't think you're adding any extra cards for that. So the extra players, I don't believe, would add extra time. You really should just have a smaller tableau because you have extra players. So for me, I think that this game is definitely got the replayability there because it's going to be so easy to get this out, play it quick, and get it back to the board again. And for me, that's all you're looking for. It can be played easily on a random day. It's one that I don't think is going to offend anybody in a way where you're going to think you can't play often. Am I looking to pull this out? No. But this is the style game that's not about looking to pull it out. It's not like Blood Rage or Dune Imperium, where it's an effort because you know you're putting 2 hours in. This one you're not thinking about playing. It just is one that people start coming over and you throw it on the table. So for me, replayability, thumbs up. Keys to victory. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about what is your opponent doing and what are you doing. I think that this is less about your keys and your routes to victory and more about your eyes. You need to keep an eye on what you need, what your opponent is doing, and what they need, and what's coming out here. Because You might see a card come out and you go, ooh, I've got the 1, 2, 3 here, and I've already got the 4, 5, 6. So that solo card is worth a lot of points for me. However, I also see that there's a group of 3 over here that's going to extend out my 5 and my 6 column, and it will get me competitive for those to start scoring. And I don't think my opponent needs the solo card for my 4 column. So you have to be paying attention to that to realize not only what things can score for you, but what things your opponent's likely to go after. That's one that I think is about judging what the situation is. And also trying to be aware of how your opponent's playing, because are they smart enough to see that and realize, oh, this one might score me 5 more points, but I can cost my opponent a good 12 points by taking this card. So those are the types of things that you're really looking for. I think there's plenty of keys and routes, but they're all going through your eyes. This is reactionary. I love that. Thumbs up. Unique. Is the game unique? No. And I say that because at the end of the day, it feels like they've taken out a piece of Seven Wonders and made it into a very fun but smaller game. When you're doing all of your science in Seven Wonders, you can get your sets and you can get your rows, basically. You're getting your sets of the same and you're getting your combinations of difference. And so at the end of the game, you might end up with 3, 3, and 2, and you're like, oh, I got 3 of the 3s here, or 2 of the 3s here, 1, 2 here, I've got a 3, a 3, and a 2 here, and you score a bunch. This feels like they just took it, they expanded it, they made it its own game, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I like the game, it's fun, but is it unique? No. They took a mechanic for another game, and they just expanded how many rows and columns you can make. But that's it. So to me, thumbs down. Not unique. Overall, what do I think? I think it's a fun game. There's nothing wrong with taking something from another game that works and making it better and making it a smaller and simple game that focuses in on something people like. I think that for me, when I play Seven Wonders, I love that aspect, so I go after the science a lot. And being able to play a game now where everybody can do that and I can enjoy that rows and columns attack is great. And there are a lot of other games that do that. That's not unique to Seven Wonders. It's just that's the one I think of when I think of this style. That being said, do I think this is one that you should go out and get? I don't think you should hunt it down. I'm not saying don't. I think it's a fun little game. It's not going to be expensive. If you see it, though, give it a buy. I don't think you need to play this to buy it. I think it's simple and easy enough that nobody here should dislike it. And there's plenty enough games out there that when you see this game, you're going to go, I know a game that's done something like it. I know if I like that aspect of the game. That being said, if you do need to play it, just see if you can find it in a random board game store. Check out on Board Game Arena. I haven't looked it up yet, but this seems like a game that could be one of the ones you'd see potentially there. Because it's a smaller game from Renegade, so maybe that's the type of thing they would have made a deal with. Maybe it's on Tabletopia. If you can't find it on one of those, then just go to a local board game store, go to a local convention, and see if you can find this in a library there so you can get it out and play. But personally, I don't think you need to make that much effort. I think you can just find it and buy it. I think that the game is going to be pretty straightforward. You're going to have an idea what you're getting off the bat. And that's all you need. Well, it has been day 263, and we've been speaking about the game Subastral. And you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.